West Africa, Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has sworn in 36 ministers into his cabinet. This comes 5 months after his inauguration.
Buhari's cabinet is smaller than that one of his predecessor, Goodluck Jonathan, who had 42 ministers under Nigeria's constitution. The president must include a member from each of the country's 36 states.
Buhari appointed former investment banker Kemi Adusa as finance minister. He also appointed Emmanuel Iba Kachiko, the head of the state oil firm NNPC, as junior oil minister.
The new cabinet's immediate task is to confront slowing growth caused by collapse in oil revenues that has weakened the Naira. Well, for more on this story, we cross now live to our correspondent, Sophia Adengo, who's in Abuja. Sophia, thanks very much for joining us this evening. A much anticipated announcement, 5 months in the making. Is it usual for it to take so long?
Well, Peter, it is unusual to take this long, but what is usual with President Muhammadu Buhari, he has decided to take the 5-month gap to really reconsider who is going to represent he and his vision through the All Progressives Party, but also largely outside of party politics, really align with the values, the core values of transparency, a zero tolerance towards corruption, and really bringing more security and economic growth to the country. It was interesting to note today, the ceremony that we attended was very, very low key. There was nothing pompous. There were no live, bands or anything that seemed to be out of the usual pace of day-to-day governing bodies. So it was a very interesting sort of note within the day to notice that President Muhammadu Buhari has really stuck to his sort of austerity of not wanting anything that is outside of what is public service. Peter?
All right, let's talk a little bit about some of the choices that he's made. A lot is being made about former investment banker Kemi Adusa as the new finance minister. Take us through some of the names that he's picked. Were there any surprises?
Well, let's start with Kemi Adeseun. She is female, obviously, and one of the younger candidates. A lot of people have looked at her lack of experience in the political body, but others have looked at her experience and her background, having been an investment banker and also taking office in her governing state. But more than anything, she has been looked at as fundamentally one of those key individuals that has hoped to bring a fresh approach to turning Nigeria's economy around in tandem with the central bank governing body and, the rest of President Muhammadu Buhari's, agencies. So it's a very interesting note that he has decided to place on Kemi Adeseun. Some other very interesting developments I have here. Abdul Rahman. He has been known as one of those very fundamental key players in the area of the military. However, he has been taken on as the Minister of Internal Affairs. Amina Ibrahim, she is now the Minister of Environment, but largely credited for bringing a closer look at development and rural development here in Nigeria. She was a former United Nations, advisor to Ban Ki-moon, and many had thought that she would also follow the route of finance. However, she has taken on the environment docket. Also, amongst many others, you have the Defense Minister, Mr. Dan Ali. Muhammadu Bello has become the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, which is right here in Abuja. A lot of people do not really understand that Abuja is really separate from a lot of the other states and now being governed by Muhammadu Bello. Also, you have the various, ministries that are trying to expand in the area of agriculture, most especially because, as you know, Nigeria has seen a massive slump in their oil revenues across international markets, and looking to other areas, for example, agriculture and the sale of agricultural goods worldwide. Peter?
All right, what about the Minister of Power, Minister Fashola? Reading on Twitter, it seems as if people might have faith that he might be able to handle this very important portfolio.
Peter, it's very interesting that you have introduced the element of the, the social media platforms, because oftentimes we don't necessarily get to understand what people are really thinking. And today, largely, a lot of Nigerians expressing mixed feelings with Babatunde Fashola, because, he's credited for bringing Lagos from a city that had taken a slump to one that was thriving with major infrastructural development projects that saw Lagos come back to its commercial glory. And he is now in this area where he is taking care of power, housing, and people are interested to see if he will be able to bring about the same success. But as you know, Babatunde Fashola is not without his criticizers, especially in the area of mismanagement of funds in the past, and really part of a cronyism, a political cronyism that is very unlike Muhammadu Buhari, he himself having made significant transitions from a general to now a Democrat. He would like to see the same transition through his ministers, all 36, taking on their roles not as politicians, but as members who are bringing about, as his supporters say, a fundamental change. Peter?
All right, one last question, and you can be quite brief with this one. A lot of the times when presidents come into power, they've got to try and bring a cabinet that balances all the forces in the country to make sure that they can get through their term and also try and appease everybody. Has this cabinet done that?
Well, as you know, it's a bit too premature to say what this cabinet's intentions are, having been sworn in literally this afternoon. But what we do know from President Muhammadu Buhari's speech earlier this afternoon as we attended the ceremony is that he has reiterated his vow to be the watchdog of Nigeria and Nigeria's resources. He's consistent with his message of bringing about, fundamental change, especially in the area of corruption and graft. He seems tired and really expressing a sentiment that a lot of Nigerians express of seeing a country so rich still have almost 60% of a population so poor. So it's a very premature, assessment at this moment. But having been a part of today's festivities and ceremony, it seems that the 36, ministers are really setting their flint on making sure that Nigeria is no longer sort of going off the rails as we saw in the past with all these, erratic statistics coming out of the economy and coming out of unemployment, but instead looking to rectify the situation. Peter?
All right, Sophia, that's where we're going to leave it. Thank you very much indeed for your insights on this announcement of the cabinet 5 months after the president became president of Nigeria. Babatunde?